Okay, ane ta dhiring nganzo ge ne Sakadawa ne shokpe nganzo gyawa dhuya ge ane khokap chik du si tendu nganzo ngona ane semba de gyawe chu ge samlu tane hine chi gongos chenpa chi gom kama nga shi jagos.
So today, in the month of Sakadawa, the fourth Tibetan lunar month, so today is the 15th day of this month, the full moon. So this corresponds to the enlightenment of the Buddha time date. So today is very auspicious day, fortunate day. So this time we take this opportunity for together to practice and cultivate virtue. And we start the day with meditation on calm abiding for setting our best state of mind and best motivation.
Okay. Lo wei yu la yin wa xi 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 yang da da la zi xi zhi wa yin xi ne la dong sung du de wei nyu du ju la je wa yin ji Okay. ane 당보다 랑에게는 사가다게 모두 두두직체 되는 간조에는 다 닝직을 하 아니 제제세계 거는 간조에는 개와 두비야 인설봐.
So I will start with just introducing what is the meaning of Sakadawa, this special time and day today. And after we do a practice on meditation on compassion, also on the support of the deity of compassion, Chenresi or Avalokiteshvara.
다 드링에네 투주라고 되는 간조게 제게 투젠스 투주 개 첨보 제게는 된대게 제 템버리치야 두 템버리치야레스 가리 템으로서는 안에 된대게 다자게 domba 안에 샤게 두바는 된대게 제게는 산제베 투주 켜버리지 대단한 투직도에는 된대게 아마게 룸수슈버게는 투주체 되네다 안에 그 양해를 대비 투주수 드링베 투주라고데 배네 켜버리지 숨 좀도는 게 투주데 텐데슈야지래.
So today is very special day because our teacher, the Buddha Shakyamuni, who came into our world almost like 2,600 years ago, actually today correspond to the day that he achieved the full enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And also on the same day, a few years before, in the same day of the lunar month, also the lunar calendar, also he was born. He was born into the womb of his mother Maya Devi. And also the same day, few years after his enlightenment, so he passed to parinirvana, leaving his body also, manifesting the passing away. So this is very auspicious day corresponding to three special events in the life of the Buddha himself.
다들 간조 얘네 안누초게 삼로는 간조게 중간다고 산제베게 다 된대게네 베투주 캬버제체네 객사야다는 상한는도 칼라사야 시에타야 초보투기야 된대시거든 간조 된대 말해서 되게네 산제베 안에 투주 캬버제인데라야 나란조야 베네 된대 산제 콘단다바게 산제야게 산제게 유 겨와두고요래 낭바게 때지 다고요 말해서 수준다고
So nowadays, for example, in the West, when we have like a kind of something like corresponding to a holiday, like a birthday, so we say, oh, this day is a very like a good day. So we take a cake and we enjoy like receiving gift and doing like some kind of a party or something like that. But here is a little bit different because this corresponds to something very virtuous. So we use this opportunity to do the same like Buddha did himself. So we tried to make some similar action to use this day to accomplish some virtuous deeds.
다 투조 제베는 간족에네 부백에네 다 삼로다나 제베네 분다 시바게 아니 드링게 잡아 종하게 드링게 쇼베 토라나 아니 산제베 인자 드링게 투조들라 뱅간족이 개바지 지기 열에서 잡아 종아.
So this day correspond in the Tibetan lunar calendar. There are 12 months, so it is the fourth month of the lunar calendar. It is also the full moon, so the 15th of this month that correspond to this date. So it's on this day that like a few thousand years before, the Buddha himself achieved full enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings at the time the sun was rising, so at the dawn.
텐두발라 얘네 간족에네 다 제게네 까만 지단다고 될라 다와르라니 까만 레레레 사바샤기 열에서 드링게네 다 아니 다와티게 까말라네 까마디 밍라네 다 베지 자가게 게이서레스 사가시기 열에서 인상 드링게네 된대게 다와데 얘네 약한바다 어디갑게네 까마샤야 될라 사가게 까마샤바 인상 얘네 간족 다와될라 사가다와스 밍디 다게 열에로다 자가게 게토네.
So the timing system or the month and the year and the week, etc. So it's related to the, how do you call, the asters, you know, like in the sky, like the moon and the stars, etc. So this month, like every month in the Tibetan lunar calendar, correspond to a different stars or constellation. So this constellation related to the fourth lunar month is called Saka. So probably Saka is not Tibetan, but it's probably a Sanskrit language, Indian language. So Dawa, which means the month, and which also means the moon, because a full moon circle will be considered a month. So this way, when it is a full moon, it is the 15th of the month. So that corresponds to today.
다 되는 간족에네 제게 응아르지에네 간족에 부바게 된대게다 제게 로봉 안에 된대게 둡쳔바다 된대게 똑바줄에 제도니 무시든 주주토도니 디족에네 간족에네 디 두조들라 에네 간족 겨와 두기에네 겨와데 붐유 된대게네 베 사야다 동주 된대게네 펜보 첨보열에서 펜도 첨보열에서 펜용 라와 대인도발라 디찬에 간족에 부바게 에네 간족에 다 제 나윤라고 될라에네 붐유 다와서 간족 부바게 될라네 붐주 다와서 그래서 이네다 사가다서 용타다고체 야가게 간족 어디 야가게 사가다 민다고 비주디 찍디체 부바게 어디라 그래서.
So the great Indian master said that because this time corresponds to the Buddha's enlightenment, so this time of the year is very auspicious, and all the virtuous deeds we do during this month will be like at this time will be like really much like multiply some kinds of like hundreds of thousands of times or even millions of times more positive than the other time. So they say that we should use our time in this time of the year to do the most like virtuous deeds as we can. So in like as we said, like this is the month related to the constellation of Saka, so that's why we say Sakadawa. But an expression like Tibetan expression, how they call this month, they call also the month or the moon of the multiplication by 100,000 times. That's how they call this month, because of these sayings of the great masters.
다 tindu 텐데게 간주게네 부바게 다 안에 라마 로보 오다 디조게 텐데게네 투주텔라네 다 제게네 데웨주 안에 갸바지 투투베네 텐데게네 갸와디조 텐데게 누바첨보 톱첨보 텐데게네 요아리시기 요레스.
So the great Tibetan masters said that we do virtuous action during this time, during this month, during this day. There will be very great potential, very positive, like very strong positive effect to our virtuous deeds.
다디 투조텔라 텐데가 난전에 제게 산제버게 에네 진장버 속에 다 투조텔라네 다 갸와두고 요레로.
So as followers of the Buddha, so during this time of the year, we use this time to make more virtuous deeds.
텐데게 다 갸와델라네 가르두고서는 조에네 다 투조 텐데라네 제가 제차 강투도 제 배네 장가라고 싸는 배제 몸다 오다 텐데게 싸야게네 제 고주게 한다보다 아니 초바푸야 초바대야 정한족에네 초바 지금 몸 노약 초바푸야 한다고 되면은 제 초바 똥 추메 연조다다 간다르지 손놈사약시도 똥자 아니 융달라 아니 제 눈자래래 오 텐데게 추메 레레 융달라 배 텐데게 제 디닝갈라 다배 창막에네 오 차다 충부 오다 지게 디바샤야 오 텐데게다 배겨와 망부지 두고요래.
So during this month, for example, we will accomplish more virtuous deeds, such as doing more like the practice of prostrations. So doing prostrations, some people will do, for example, 100,000 of prostration during this time, or starting this practice during this time. They can also do some practices such as the offerings to make different kind of offerings, such as the offering of the water bowls, etc. So same thing like doing 100,000 of times, or if they don't have the capacity to do so much like that, so doing like something like 1,000, or if not doing like some 100, or at least doing like a representation of the 7 branch by doing like 7 offering of bowls like daily. So this is all these kind of virtuous practices that we do.
텐두말라 다 디게 투주들라 안에 다 제게 룽아 이송게 딕바 사비나 안에 딕바 첨부 용구여 디 갑라는 간족에네 제 룽아 이송게 딕바 미게바 빵야 안에 텐데게 겨와 두베니 누가 첨부여 레스도발라 안에 겨와 두비야 디지고레스.
And also it is said that similarly the negative actions that we do by the body, by the speech and the mind will be also increased during this time. So there will be a strong practice and mindfulness to be aware to abandon the misdeeds and to create virtuous actions more specifically during this time.
다들 간조 눕쇼 나라 단단 간조 다 산제게 에너지 진장 간조 다 사와도 차용 거래서 러바티네도 산제게 템바 타네 다 로니도 ngapja thukja ji lugu yore sine da ngaranzo ta ji chige thunje ge penjo thole ngaranzo be yaje da boje rodo yore di ane tende ge sanje ge yang sungbe chog thole na sim jujo dan thole nganzo da ane da sanje ge jindam ba da teje ne sawa do cha ge yore lo da nganzo sawa do cha ge yore.
So the Buddha himself came into our world almost 2,600 years before. So there was since this time a lot of people who study, who practice, to accomplish his teaching, mostly in the Eastern countries. So now in the West, it's very new. We look like we are very like a beginner or very like a new students of the Buddha, new followers of the Buddha, just appear in the West since few years. So in the West, the external conditions, they developed a lot. They are really like increased, look like something like coming from a long time. But from the inner perspective, the teaching of the Buddha, we are just like starting to understand and to practice these teachings in the West.
다 대인도 발라네 간족에 단다게네 텐데게 다와들라 붐주 다와레세네 겨와dum네 겨와 붐사그레세네 미게브시네 미게바 텐데다 니바 첨부 차그레 셰두 발라 당간조 눕초바데 치게 텐데게 즉 천릭 다 튠제나 텐데게 투제릭데 시부제게 침부인자 다 눕초바게네 텐데 라비네 붐주다 니바 첨부 라비네 배진 독바산에 다 늪쇼버 체력배 따완저버체네 아니 심죽시하다 다 트바망부 용거레스 늪쇼베 텔라 트바사그레 람산 이지제고 말레스 트바 용거레스
Because this system of teaching of the Buddha is quite new to the West, that also in the West there was more the development of the external conditions, more focus onto developing the external understanding of the external world. So having less understanding of the subtle aspects such as the mind, etc. So probably when we say that this month will produce like when we do positive action, it will create like 100,000 multiplication, like increase of the positive action, and also the negativity will be also increased in the same way. So probably with a kind of scientific mind and scientific approach where we have to test the thing by the hands or by the eye or the machine and a microscope, etc. So we say, oh, how can we check that? So probably we will have doubt about this information.
야, 다 되는데 봐라. 다 간데세네 배네 겨와찌기 아니 겨와데 뭉주데 간데스 로그레스 되게 좀지 두두시고스.
So I will explain just briefly the reason why we say that the virtue will be increased, will be multiplied by 100,000 times. Why is it the case?
다대 범주데 좀만로데 나란조게네 조 시게네 텐데게네 테 마레스 조네 나 꾸능라달레데 요레스 디니가데 꾸능 상보지시고레로다.
So actually the capacity to be the virtue to be increased by 100,000 times is not something coming independently, mostly from the outside. It's something more related to the inside. So the development of the best of kind of motivation. That's why we should develop the best motivation.
다 된데게 나란조게 차직 체비냐 차디 체두발라 된데게 소소게 나게자야 이메인자 된데게네 소소는 답에네 만족게네 베 난게 카잡지 셈제 탐제 대화단 대외주단 덴버 주지 둥엔단 둥엔주단 태와 주지 예ring 착단나 태와 주지 셈제 탐제게네 된데게 삼로단 차지 체비나 된데게다 제게 둥기 실라데네 랑글라만다 이듬 산제 창생 보우칸로 오 뒤돌아 소바네 믹 에네 랑게 타고도 셈제 탐제 베 텐델레 믹제 텐데 겨와 차직 체비나데 초바직 부위나 오 텐데게 되는 붐주그 마체베 셈제게 장당 냠바게 구능 상부 찍셔제네 겨와직 루베네 오 텐데게 셈제게 장당 냠바제게 겨와 두고요레스 소소게 믹바데 카제게 섬 단토베나 오 텐데게 두고요레스는 붐죽 체교 말레스 구능 텐데 지기네.
For example, when we do the positive actions such as the prostrations are made in order to diminish and to destroy the pride in ourselves. So when we do this practice, thinking that we accomplish this practice for the benefit of all sentient beings, we want to achieve enlightenment for that, so we can help all sentient beings. So we do that by developing the great motivations such as the universal love, the great compassion, such as may all sentient beings be free of their suffering and their causes. May all sentient beings find happiness and the causes of this happiness. So when we have this motivation and we generate that relating to all sentient beings, thinking that I want to do this practice in order to benefit for all sentient beings, and also that we visualize that we do this practice in front of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and deities and protectors, etc. So actually saying if we have this kind of motivation, so even like 100,000 times will not even be the limit, because there's much more sentient beings than 100,000. There's billions and billions and billions of sentient beings. So actually, because your motivation is so strong like that, so you will accomplish the same number of virtue as you take the number of sentient beings into your mind capacity like that.
배샤게네 생간조게네 셈제 탐제스 그래스 셈제 탐제스도 발라 텐데게네 코알라 네도닝게 간사데라 셈제스 그래스 텔라네 로와 리툭스 그래스 다 리툭 나래 간조 제 장가 닝쇼데 다 미레스 밀레야 아니 미 퉁주루 등산다 동주 düğün제 시구여레스 ene nganzo 미치고를 미베나 아는 몸직 책임도 와서 된 난생게 되네 다 저게네 둔로게 차라 둔로게 릭세 되네 다즉 수라 마den게 nganzo게 미식이 통야 매도인게 하다 라마인신이라보다 아니 이다다 동해 첨보보다 대조 링 삼로담이니 코베게 심제 탐제라 삼로단제 드린 겨와직 누기이니 나란족에 텐데 코알라 칭동년게 단지 마르버데 ane ran chinjin de pha thorne she che bar jimbe chinjin lo ge samlo che tan gyawa chik dugu ine ngaran jo ge ran chinjin de be ene je gyogbo jigla ene phade ene tende ge ta jombar che sina mindu ane chinjin ne thene ende ge ne janju ge gomban thoyala nyura yoares kyabsan sheju teresda so ran chinji de thorya thorne ane 다가랑 되는 응원에게 다 펜도 시슈 테레스 란다 셴 감각에 다 돈주발라 란진진데 돌고고요래서 대 돌야게 안에 삼로 약쇼되다 셴 지번진의 심전탐제 대화 안에 덴도 동에 텐도기 둠바 오 텐데글로 직게 두면 야고요래서.
So if we take consideration of the sentient beings, what we call sentient beings means the beings which have a mind and have feelings and that are still in the problems and sufferings of samsara, who didn't become yet Buddha. So all sentient beings are infinite, because if we take just on this planet, if we take, for example, the humans are actually the less, the smallest number, like there's 6 kind of sentient beings, but the one that has less number is the humans. So we can see that still there's a lot of humans. For example, just on this planet, there is approximately 8 billion humans. So if we compare that with the animals, there's much more animals including all kinds of forms of life in the sea and the earth, like the small insects, bugs, etc. So all that is much more numerous than humans. And if we take all the sentient beings that we cannot see with the eyes because they have a subtle shape that is like something like impossible to perceive with the eye, but some kind of thing we call like the hungry ghosts or the extreme sufferings. So they are even more and more and more. So if we consider all sentient beings, we're thinking, I want to liberate all sentient beings of their suffering. So there's so much sentient beings. So corresponding to the number of sentient beings that we visualize, we think of, so there will be a virtue that is increased in the mind this way. For example, we say that suffering comes from the self-cherishing mind, self-grasping mind that consider myself to be more important and precious than others. So by doing this practice, we will decrease and completely like eradicate from our mind this self-cherishing mind, because we focus on others, we focus on the sufferings of others, we want to free them from their suffering, we want to bring them their happiness. So it will be a very great antidote to our self-cherishing, which itself leads us quickly to enlightenment.
다 텐데 누발라 다 텐데게네 다 저기 신 심지 탐제기 체도 라니 텐데게다 심지 체도 텐데게다 제 산제야세나민도 라니 심지기 체도 코반의 텐두게 텐데글로 슉 첨부제 깨네 아니 겨와 두고레스 코반의 대야게 아니 겨와 두고레로다.
So this way we should accomplish virtuous actions such as the mind that wishes all sentient beings to be free of their suffering and their causes of suffering. So this way, by developing this mind of compassion, we accomplish lots of virtue.
다 텐데베 되네 다 에네 데베규 시행기 치두 텐데게 겨와 두바텔라 에네 간조게 셰야라 에네 짐바 다야게 짐베게 냠네 수정게 냠네 준두 딩인지 셰라 오 텐데게 다 냠네 치고요레스.
And also we accomplish many kind of virtuous deeds by practicing the actions such as the Paramita, such as practicing generosity, practicing ethics, practicing patience, joyous effort, concentration, wisdom.
다 텐데베네 제게 투조델라네 간조게네 데베주 겨와 베네 짐바게 텐데게 냠네 제베네 아니 제미 껴볼라 텐데게 다 로바치야게 산심라 소베게 다 제게 짐바 로치야라보다 야네 추 신행게 텐데게 다 제게 추 토네마데네 람돈치야라보다 테네 다제 셈제 아니 제게 다 제 가로다 저기 냥가네 된데게 중외게 냥가 안에 저 칼라메바다 된데게 튠쟁게 소라 오 된데게는 민직베 아니 짐바신이라보다 오 된데게 다 냠네지야 망보저레세 베네사가달랑한 저게 소류다야라보다 쇼셔야라보다 저번에 짐바다야라고 데렸다 산싱추 오 민직보 된데시고야레세.
So there is, during this time of the year, people will put more effort to practice all these different kinds of virtue, such as the first of the paramita, the practice of generosity. So people will try their best to accomplish the three kinds of generosity, such as the generosity of material, for example, people suffering from poverty, to give them what they need, like food and drink and clothes, etc., to help them to relieve their suffering relating to poverty. Or also the sharing of the Dharma, the generosity of the Dharma. When somebody is open and has possibility to understand the Dharma, we share with them some teachings. And also, for sure, the generosity of protecting from dangers. There is some animals that should be like slaughtered or should be like killed or whatever. So we save them. Some people will, for example, take some animals that were supposed to be killed, such as a fish or any kind of animals, and release them in the nature, to buy them and release them in the nature. So all these kind of practices are virtue, and people will do their best to do that as much as they can.
다티 맞베 되는 간족에네 제 칼라오다 에네 제 디게 사가다 텔라 제 에네 겨와 두비알라 미게바 파야게 추림숭야다보다 에네 추림텔라야 제 니주도베 추림생이다보다 에네 딘데게 에네 다 추림 넘버 숨라바 오 딘데 에네 숭야 티주체 에네 티주게 에네 다 제게 소주다 에네 딘데게 준다 차만 칼라오다 소주체 마짐바체 샤나 차와체 아니 준 차마 책주 오 텐데게네 룽앙게 오 드즈게네 미게베티즈 빠네 되게 에네 다 독초게 겨와 두고요. 그래서 겨와 둠네 어디에 치고요. 레로다.
Also, people will try as their best to do the virtuous actions, such as the practice of the ethics, such as like the three aspects of ethics and the ethics of the abandoning the negative actions, and also the the ethics of accomplish the welfare of all sentient beings or accomplishing virtuous deeds, and also related to the actions of the body and the speech, to abandon the actions such as killing, the abandon the action of stealing, the abandon the action of harming others by violence, or the words also that will hurt others by lying, by harsh speech, or by divisive speech, or by like a kind of like this kind of speech. So this way we try our best to diminish these negative actions and to accomplish the positive opposite.
다 된다게네 룽앙게 된다게다 미게베 추디게 파빵네 얘네 다 이기 되네 다 제게네 띵인진다 아니 신예다 학동나 아니 냠렌시야 제세기 좁아라 오 된다게다 개와 두고레스 데베규 개와 제세기 좁아티소 다 두고요레스 사가달 데 두고레스.
So during this time in Sakadawa, to do our best to diminish all kind of negative actions, to abandon all kind of negative action, and to accomplish the positive actions, such as the practice of the paramita, and more importantly also the last two paramita, to practice like to achieve calm abiding, and also the special insight, so they do all these actions.
다 간족에네 부바게네 간족에 야 수준이라고 될라 사가다나로라 남주베 총바텐데 있는 사가다라 총간데 고잡네 개와 주 미게바 어딘데게 빠야게 개와시부 두그레스 총바이난다 다 남주게네 이제 샤산이나 다 사가다라네 다 샤티조 빵 신게 차와치도 샤티조 빵다 사가다라 다 소소라가 개전부 가리나 제가 융르로 따네 저 개와 두고요 레스 부바게 룩수라보다라 어딘데 슉첨부지레스 미만한 캡되어레스 답에 용라롭지레스.
For example, in the whole general Tibetan population, as Tibetan because they follow this Buddhist tradition, during the Sakadawa period, during this month, they will do their best to accomplish their positive actions. So, for example, people doing like business, having a shop, they will probably all close their shop for 1 month to stop the regular mundane activity to concentrate more on dharma, such as doing prostration or all these things during this time. Or if people, for example, they eat meat usually, but during the month of Sakadawa, they will do their best to not eat meat, to be vegetarian during at least this month of the year. So whatever kind of regular activity they did for a living or for external things, they will try their best to stop to do more spiritual activity.
다 뒤도 상말로 닝제기 냠내레엘로다. 제 심전담제 둥엔단 둥이주 전도의 소소 미도가 나신 거 뒤도 상말로 다 닝제기 삼로 다네 어디 지구요레스 닝제기 냠내레스.
All this is practice of compassion, doing this for accomplishing the welfare of sentient beings by thinking that as myself, I don't want to suffer. I want to be free of the suffering and causes of suffering. All sentient beings want the same, so I will do these virtuous actions in order to relieve all sentient beings from their sufferings.
다 된다베 냠내데 사가 다 지고 마인바 두 윤도 시tum네 때마세 야부요레스 사가 다 지고라 마레스 오네시네 다두 윤도 니 시tum네 빼야부요레스.
So for sure, it's even better if we can do these virtuous practices not only during 1 month, but all the time. If we can continue after Sakadawa and do that all the time, that's for sure the best.
Oh yeah. 아니 제세 전부 시와라게 이래 숭셔레스네 동에 돈도게 세미유자 아니 동행게 줄라 아니 니바 죽서바 다라 돈도게 세미유자 아니 때무게 랑게 대와 다다 좀 세다 간다는 가서 창마 동에 돈도게 로요비네 동행게 줄라 간서 죽르고 그랬다 대자와치 되고 두성간도 논주지레스 간서 대와 두고 요아레데 간서 마릭베게 왕게 가두이는 간서 대와데 주마도 대 맵소샤고 요아레 되는 간서 가두이나 딱 게득 신인데 야보시 삼는 개점을레스.
So the great Indian master Shantideva says that even though we don't want suffering, we always run towards suffering. Even though we want happiness, because our confusion, we destroy the happiness as it was an enemy. So it's very important we don't do this mistake. How do we do that? So we should really understand what is creating the happiness and what is creating the suffering. And this is the virtue, that's the virtuous actions that create happiness, and that's the non-virtue that creates suffering. So we should think carefully about that and try our best to abandon what we don't want and to create what we want.
안에 제세 좀 시와라게 이래 숭셔레스 아니 대외 균이 신도 공스 동의 균이 신도 망스 땅안서 대화도 동의 미도에냐 안도 내가 망샤직 동의 주시고요레스 대외주 신도네 공부를 되는 안서 삽사주고레스.
And also Shantideva says that the causes of happiness are very rare and the causes of suffering are very great. There's a lot. So we should really take care because we don't want suffering, but the most of the things we do, they create eventually suffering. So we should very take care and try to diminish that the most as we can.
야, 다 들은 게 간족 제림데 개와 두비아레스 셰야 마레스 당에 셰야 데스 망타송스 당간족 개와 두비아게 간족데 에네 들은 게네 다 닝제게 에네 다 어디 네 냠내디 치고서라.
So today our activity is the practice of virtue, not teaching. But now my teaching was a little bit too long, I'm sorry. But we do now practice of virtue, practice of meditation and compassion.
야, 당간족에네 된데게다 닝제게 냠내 마체고나 나란족에네 산제다 추 긴두송게 연대 체주 템버치하게 에네 현도직 교사게에서 보게 돌려라. 다들 개민도스 주는서 에네 대 텐션이 그래서 산제 추 긴두고 연대데 텐션이 그래서.
So just before we start our meditation, we just do a short chanting to remember the qualities of the objects, our protection, our refuge, like the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So we just like do like that. So we do in Tibetan. So it doesn't matter if you don't understand. You just like have positive motivation and you think about the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha to prepare the mind.
Okay. Domba jom den de de jen je wa da jom ba yan da wan zo be san je ri wa da sha su den ba de wa ra je ji de jen ba je won do wa ga lo je wa la na me wa la da me na je dom ba san je jom de pe je wa sha kya do wa la cha ze lo chu do jiao zo je o kan ze gan ni zo je dan ze sa shen de la gong ba dun bo de nga ne jik den de na cho je so ten ze ge wa ju la cha ze lo nam da gu nga cho do su san wa yi shi jia zu se ge long bo da da wa jik den so na la nge wa gong bo cho ni ju la cha ze lo chen cho den ba zhen min da we je chen do da wa ju la cha ze lo du je ju na se wa su man je nya mi chi ji ju la cha ze lo gong bo tu je che den ba dam je jin be dong ba bo so na yan de jia zu xin an de xin che la cha ze lo ta be du jia zhe wa ju ge we ngen song le zhuo jin je du dong dong ju ju wa xi ju ju la cha ze lo zhuo ne zhuo la ba da la rab du ne xin ge dang ba yan de de gin du la yang cha ze lo di ba ji yang me jia jin ge wa bu sun zong ba jin rang ge sim ne yong so du de ne san je den ba yin ga ma ra re ma me da yu ma se wa chu bo da me la lo da jin da wo du je ju na de da da so nom di ye dam je se ba yin gong bang dom na jun je da de ne ga da na da chi we lap ju si we zo le ro wa 오야 당한 조에네 군농 약보 중에네 군농데 제 짬로다네 잔죽sem게 삼로 약보 지단 대념도 중네 제 인중 타로 통도로 아니 인중 잔죽 공바 통도게 로 아니 디고 고다부 잔죽이 셈 아니 대백에네 된데게 타바단 잔죽을 주고 고 아니 담바데네 짬로데 약보지 어디게데 아니 삼로 단쇼스게 현도 주셔하고스
So now
군농치도
we now generate our best motivation thinking about taking very deep refuge, the door of the Buddha teaching. So also to develop a very strong as much as we can, mind of renunciation from all sufferings and cause of sufferings of samsara. So we call the renunciation the door to the path to liberation. And also develop as much as we can the mind of enlightenment, the door of the Mahayana. So I will do short chanting. You try your best to generate this positive motivation.
Sanje chudan zoje jonan la chanjo badu dani jason je dage jinso jebe sonom je rola benje sanje druba jo sanje chudan zoje jonan la chanjo badu dani jason je dage jinso jebe sonam je rola benje sanje druba yo sanje jodan zoje jonan la chanjo bad dani japson je dage jinso jebe sonam je rola benje sanje druba yo mane 세미식 삼로 따로 제세 심제 탐제 되네 대화단 대외 주된 덴버 주제 주지 마룽 다게 지기 인삼배 심제 통 대화되네 심제 동에는 동행지 주다 되네 태워 주제세 되네 지마룽 삼바 안에 되네 심제 탐제 안에 동행매배 대화단 민대와 어디 에 가와 구매체 심제 탐제 년행 차단단 되게 땅님을 내버 주시 어디 세미시대 삼로치 당쇼
So now try to develop the most positive motivation, thinking about the four immeasurables, the love, the compassion, the joy, and the equanimity. So thinking like with love, may all sentient beings find the happiness and the causes of happiness. Really, I hope, I wish for that. Also, the compassion, thinking it would be wonderful if all sentient beings could be free of their sufferings and all their causes and sufferings. And also the feeling of joy, thinking that it would be wonderful to see all sentient beings experiencing bliss, free of any kind of sufferings. And also the feeling of equanimity, thinking that it would be wonderful that all sentient beings be free of attachment and aversion to others, be completely in a state of equanimity.
Semje damje dewa dan dewe ju dan denpa ju ji semje damje dungen dan dungen ji ju dan chewar ju semje damje dungen mewe dewa dan min dewa ju semje damje nirin cha dan ni dan chewe dan nyan la newa ju ji semje damje dewa dan dewe ju dan denpa ju ji semje damje dungen dan dungen ji ju Tewar juji semje damje dunge mewe dewa dam min dewa juj semje damje nire chadang nidang dewe dang nyala newa juro je semje damje dewa dang dewe judang denpa juji semje damje dunge dang dunge je judang dewa juj semje damje dunge mewe dewa dang min dewa juji semje damje nire chadang nidang dewe dang nyala newa juro okay 당은 저 드링 냠nen치야데 ene 닝제게 다라 파파 젠레세 곰네 텐데게네 다 닝제게 숭아 동야레 예로도 주 숭아 사야데 인스
Today, our practice of meditation on compassion will be made through relying on the Buddha or the deity of compassion, Chenrezig, and also reciting his mantra.
야 안에 나 파파 젠레세 둥이실레데네 제게 미반라보 젠텐라보데 둥기실라데네 미바치아레스 데 칸데 지기세네 안에 경지 마쿠 군도 가세네 텐데게네 뉴몽바다 시제기 디발라 속베게다 주네 마쿠베 군도 까보데 베 텐데게다 뉴몽베 경 탐제다 제베기네 오 텐데게 군도 까보지 시제기네 차시바지 고미샤네데 그레스 경지 마쿠 군도 까르스 죽산진지 울라제 오덴데 죽산진지 울라제 툭제진지 돌라스 젠레스라 차철로 덴데게네 미바다부지 둥기실의 주 안에 직전 템바 덴데 요 산삼직 둥기실의 삼당고레로다
So for this, for helping our meditation on compassion, we can visualize in the space in front of us the embodiment of compassion, like the manifestation with the body of the compassion, which we call in Tibetan Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara. There's many representation, but the one we have here is 4 arms. So the same that we have here, or I shared also on the Zoom. So you see like it's the white color, he has like 4 hands. And when we do the explanation, like short explanation of the Chenrezig, so we say in Tibetan and English, you say, you whose white body is without any fault, and whose head is adorned with a perfect Buddha. You watch over all beings with the eyes of compassion. I pay homage to you, Avalokiteshvara. So we should imagine like his body like a white color, very pure, without any kind of fault. And also we can visualize, it's not like we don't see it here, but we can visualize also his head to be adorned with a Buddha of a red color, the Buddha Amitabha.
Yeah. 다 텐데제 미바 체네네 되게 되는 안조베 심데 템바단 시신게 베 텐데게네 제게 증고를 마셔봐 체네 템바단 시신게 심네 텐데게네 제 코와게네 리투게 심제 디게달라네 미그네 텐데게네 다 마네 칙툭디 동양인스 마네 칙툭되게 리투게네 심제 담제되네 제 코와네 제약게 탑람게 치도 제벌 쇼 리투게 심제 담제 에네 텐데게 둥에단 둥에 윤에 제벌 쇼 세게 텐데게네 군웅 슉 첨부 지세네 에네 텐데게 이게 칙툭바데 나게네 칙툭바데 동양인스
So what we do during this meditation, first we invite and we visualize in the space in front of us, a little bit like higher than ourselves, in the space in front of us, the Buddha of compassion with 4 arms and 1 face and the white color, like that, as we see on the image. And we visualize all around us, all sentient beings, all kinds of different sentient beings, six categories of sentient beings that experience their different kinds of suffering, like physical, mental, emotional kind of sufferings. And we recite the 6 letters or 6 syllables mantra of compassion. We say Om Mani Padme Hum. So we recite this mantra thinking that this mantra has the power to relieve the sufferings of the 6 kind of sentient beings by the power of the 6 syllables.
Yeah. 당안쪽에 되게 다 만에데 돈도발에 인직 민직이다 코베 셈젠데게달라 텐도그 둠바스 두발라 닝직 슈크첨부 격으로 다스 닝제 마제베는 다가자 돈은 팽마레스 코베기 리두기 셈젠데게달라 베 밍네 디게달라 닝제네 디게데다 코베 둥네 테바쇼 둥에 유단 잡은 테바쇼 테바 다게 차오 냠베게 텐데게 베 군웅 아니 슈크상부 직체 텐데게 베네 제 친구 이용하라 마쇼바체네 전바대 시신 송는 원에게 베 닝구 리베팅네 닝제지 꾸네 랑네 되는 나데 제 동기네 아니 소소게네 란진지들라 그저 테스트그레스 대답선에 안에 란이 텐데게 아니 제 장주주 공반 토비알라 현동치야라 아니 소소게네 데스 누반다부텔라 아니 데스 제 냐와요레스 요고요레스니다.
So the power of this practice will not come only from the recitation of the mantra by itself. It needs like that in your mind you develop the strongest motivation as you can, really observing sentient beings, thinking about sentient beings and really thinking that they are exactly like having this or this kind of sufferings, thinking about the kind of different sufferings that all 6 kind of sentient beings experience, and understanding the suffering that the sentient beings have. So you really wish and strive for wanting to liberate them from all this kind of suffering and thinking, I will do that. And I really wish that it happened. So having this kind of motivation will be the support needed for developing the compassion through the using of the mantra. So we should develop this motivation as strong as we can. So if we really achieve this kind of practice, it means that it will go against our tendency to self-cherish ourselves. Our mind is usually too much thinking like myself before others. So when you really try to turn your mind towards others and think about suffering and wish that they're free of their suffering, so your self-cherishing mind will be a little bit decreased, a little bit like harm. So this is good for this practice of compassion to diminish the ego, the self-cherishing mind.
텐두발라 다 텐데게네 nga 돈두발라 텐데게네 제가 다지고 많이 바체네 텐데게 꾸농데 에네 리투게네 셈제디게네 둥에네 텐두게 닝제 야보 제 줄레베 텐데 둠바 슉첨보 제제 텐데게네 다 아네 나데 돈베네 오다 텔레다 텐데게 닝제게 아네 펜용 텔레다 닝제게네 뭐 펜도 요래르다 닝제 펜요레스 다 텐데게 삼로 군웅 케주 텐데제 심네 nga 동기네.
If we recite this 6 syllable mantra with considering the sufferings of all 6 kind of sentient beings, wishing that they are suffering now in samsara and we want to liberate them from their sufferings and we want to take the responsibility to liberate from their sufferings. So this way we will really develop the compassion in our mind, so it will bring us a lot of benefit also.
다 텔라 페이지 인터송쇼레스 야와 참바게와 에네 야와 참바이모 페이지 야와 참바게 셴양스 동행게 연대니 좁에 특바 세바시 코와발라 닝지게스 코와르 닝지게네 동그레스 코와발라 닝지게 디글라 짐시 겔라 가스 야와 두비알라네 텐데게 까보셰 아네 동행라 때제 체난당 짐셰 텐데게 에네 닝제 코와발라 텐데 코베 리두게 셈제게 둥에나 나르데니나 닝적 슉첨보 시제기네 텐데토네 숭아데 동게네 텐데 다 아니 주준로레스
식당부디 그래?
아
식당부디.
식당부데레 교회 특바 세버치스 이러마 현양세 교회 특바 세버치 코아발레 닝지제스 식당부 유션들어와 코아발레 닝지제 딕라 짐시 겔라가스 딕발라 짐 게왈라 가 어떻게 시도네 야고요레스.
So the Buddha Maitreya says also about that that we should develop the compassion for all sentient beings, to be fearful of the negative actions, thinking that will bring suffering to myself and others, and to enjoy the accomplishment of virtue, thinking that it is a cause of happiness for myself and for others.
다 텐도 발라 단단가 미과치야게니 네 칙디 똥 테네데는 아동기 다스 숭아.
So we will do this visualization. We visualize the Buddha of compassion as we just explained before, and we visualize the Buddha of compassion in the space in front of ourselves. And following this visualization, we recite the mantra of compassion together with keeping this visualization. So we will do a complete mala, so the 100 times recitation of the mantra. So today the main activity is doing the mantra of compassion together with the meditation, but the speaking was too long. Taking part was too long.
Kyonji magu gundo ga zugsan jenji ula jen tukje jenji rola se jere sigla cha ce lo omane beme hum omane beme hum omane beme hum omane beme 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 omane omane beme 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 shi omane beme omane beme omane beme omane omane beme omane beme omane beme omane beme omane beme Om mani 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 Om mani beme 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 Om mani Om mani beme 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 Om mani Om mani beme 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 Om shi Om mani beme 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 Om mani Om mani beme 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 Om shi 안도 신해지 고무셨어. 신해지.
We just do short meditation on calm abiding.
Lowe yula yewa shi che che yanda dala zui jen juwa ye shine lakdo sundu drewe nyudu jula jewa jen je lo. Oda dangi nganzo ge ne jenre sike sunga doni o tenre ge da di gyawa sawa de ngowa chiya chidu gyawa di nyudu dan jenre se wan drupju jen drowa jik je maluwa di sala gobar sho sinye ge ngowa te che di wodan chanjuk simjo ramboche donga yins.
So now, after having visualized the Buddha of compassion, having done the recitation of the mantra of the 6 syllables Om Mani Padme Hum, so now we do the dedication as a conclusion for this practice. We say, like in Tibetan, if we translate in English, we say, by this merit, may I quickly attain the state of Avalokiteshvara. May I lead every being without exception to this same state. And after we do the usual dedication, may the mind of enlightenment always grow more and more. So we do this dedication.
Gyawa diye nyudu da jere sewa drupju ne drowa jikya malu tiye sala goba jo chanju semjo rembo je maje bana je gyuro Gyawa nyamba mewa yang kone kondu bewa jo. 뭐야? 아니 드링에는 사가다나로는 텐데기 투주 켜버진 상보 텐데진나는 간조 축지제게는 냠들라네 다 제게는 닝지게 골라네 루룩체제 때지제게는 나도야 고갑라버디 시라가부 중 토체스데 페블.
So I'm so happy that today we had this opportunity during the Sakadawa, this very auspicious and fortunate day, to meet a little bit and do virtuous practice of meditating on compassion. I'm so happy. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
다 드링게 사가다와데 간조 쇼시야 텐소야라고 시 드링네 송데 닌다르시 사가다가 삼루단체 안에 쇼dum네 야고여레스 냠네 지게네 드링데 텐소 간조 젠로고여레스 텐소야라고 시
So actually today we just like use this opportunity of the Sakadawa to remember the importance of practice compassion. But actually we should do our best to practice compassion and do these virtuous practices all the time.
니다르시 사가다 삼루단스
We should think every day Sakadawa.
냠네 지도발라 semje tamje samdanshune dig sakada chagrese
And if we think to the benefit of all sentient beings every day, so it will be Sakadawa for us every day.
bumgyudawares
It will be every day the day of the multiplication by 100,000 times.
믹스에 드링조고 말스
Not only for today.
Okay, thank you so much your share coming here. We are so happy. And Tim, you are welcome. Then you yourself, your practice always you thinking Sakadawa. Yeah, always enlightenment thinking. Then you do meditation. This is best to call remember practice. Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
I will send you also by email, everybody, the picture of Avalokiteshvara with the short text that we did before and after the mantra, etc. And and the recording also of today, I can share the link. I will put on probably on YouTube and Facebook, so I can share also if you want to listen again. And I think like we have different activity. Tomorrow Lama will be here also. We have like conference tomorrow night. And we have Saturday morning, we'll go also to the High Park for the meditation in the park. And other activities you can see on the website. We have a lot of activities during the summer also. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Sakadawa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. If you like to drink something, you're most welcome. Okay. We have same activity in French after in 11 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. See you soon.
See you tonight.
See you tonight, yeah.
Good to see you, Lama Samton.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Thank you.
자, 거기서 가봐야 된대.